Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, today we are tackling something that is literally right under our noses. Well, under our entire bodies, actually. We use it every single night, but let's be real. When was the last time you actually cleaned your mattress, right? We've got this brilliant step-by-step method from cleaning experts that is honestly a total game changer for bedroom hygiene. We're going to unpack exactly how to obliterate that hidden dirt we sleep on, and I promise you, the science behind doing it right is surprisingly fascinating. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this. And brace yourselves, because this first fact is a little wild. 1.5 pounds. That is how many dead skin cells the average human sheds every single year. 1.5 pounds. And when you think about the fact that we spend roughly a third of our lives just laying in bed, yeah, you guessed it, a massive chunk of that shedding ends up right where we sleep. It's kind of gross, I know, but honestly, that is exactly why having a rock-solid cleaning strategy is absolutely crucial. So, where do we start? Step 1 is all about dry removal via vacuuming. Now, the experts point out that this is the step people most frequently forget, or, let's be honest, just skip altogether because they're in a rush. But skipping this is a huge fail. Think about it like a giant puzzle. If you don't pull up all that dry dust, debris, and dead skin before you start spraying wet liquid cleaners, well, you're essentially just making mud on your mattress. You end up battling this gross, wet dirt that you could have literally just sucked right out of the dry fabric in the first place. So the crucial point is exactly how you vacuum. You absolutely do not want to just heave your heavy floor vacuum up onto the bed and let the roller bar go to town. No way. Those spinning roller bars can easily catch loose threads and completely wreck the fabric of your mattress. You want to swap that out for a dedicated upholstery tool. Just start at the top, work your way down, and really hit those spots where you sleep the most. Oh, and the source highly recommends making sure your vacuum has a HEPA filter. You definitely want one of those because it ensures all that trapped dead skin and dust actually stays locked inside the canister instead of just puffing right back out into the air you breathe. Let's move to and see how this builds. Because once all that dry dust is out of the way, you are probably gonna uncover some spots. Look, not to be gross, but it's life. Mattresses naturally collect sweat, blood, and other bodily fluids over the years. But don't panic. The expert go-to for spot treating this stuff is actually just your standard everyday 3% hydrogen peroxide, and our source shared this incredibly clever little pro tip. Instead of pouring it, just grab an old, clean spray nozzle from some other empty bottle and thread it directly onto that brown hydrogen peroxide bottle. It actually fits the exact same threads as the standard cap. Boom! Instant targeted spray bottle, so easy. And this brilliantly illustrates a really cool piece of everyday trivia. Have you ever wondered why hydrogen peroxide always comes in that iconic dark brown bottle? It's actually not a branding choice at all. It comes down to a chemical process called decomposition. Basically, if hydrogen peroxide is exposed to light, it triggers a reaction that breaks it down into plain old water and oxygen gas. So if it sits out in the light, it literally loses all of its cleaning power and becomes totally useless. Oh, and another vital tip from the pros, write the date you opened it right there on the label. Once that seal is broken, hydrogen peroxide actually expires in just 1 to 6 months. Who knew, right? Now, how you go about applying that peroxide really depends on what we're going to playfully call the mesometer. Basically, it's just a scale for grading your mattress mess. Say your mattress is hitting a level 1 or 2 on the mesometer. Just a couple of light spots, you just spray the peroxide, let it sit for a minute or two so it can break down the stain, and then gently wipe it away. But if you're looking at a level 3 to 5 and you need to tackle the whole surface, you want to spray it down in larger sections, let it sit and wipe. And listen, the tool you use here is absolutely essential. You want to use a damp microfiber towel. It's crucial because those tiny microscopic fibers are literally designed to physically grab and extract the debris right off the surface, instead of just smearing the stain around. Okay, hit pause for a second, because right here we absolutely have to address a massive internet myth. I guarantee you've seen those viral videos telling you to just dump a mountain of baking soda all over your bed to clean it, right? Well, according to the deep dive from our cleaning experts, they take a really strong contrarian stance against this popular hack. Their exact words on baking soda? I feel like it just makes a bigger mess and it doesn't really do all that much. And here is exactly why that baking soda trick is a terrible idea. Sure, in theory, it neutralizes odors. But spreading fine powder all over a giant fabric rectangle, it creates an absolute nightmare to vacuum up later. And worse than that, those ultrafine particles can actually wreck your vacuum's motor and permanently clog the filters. In fact, most vacuum manufacturers explicitly warn you against doing this. So please, don't risk your expensive vacuum. If you've got serious odor issues, like say a pet or a kid had an accident in bed, you should be using an enzyme-based cleaner instead. Brands like Rocco and Roxy are great for this.
The science here is just super cool. When urine dries, it leaves behind these specific salts, and that's what causes that lingering smell. Enzyme cleaners actually go in and actively break down those salts, completely neutralizing them so the smell is permanently gone.
Now, what if you're dealing with a really serious situation, like a level 5 to 10 on our mesometer, where you definitely need those enzymes? For that, the source outlines a very specific extraction process using a spot cleaner machine like a Hoover Clean Slate. Here's the playbook. First, add water, and only water, to the machine's tank. Second, lightly spray the surface. Third, immediately suck that moisture right back up into the machine. The golden rule you have to remember here is less is more. You really do not want to oversaturate the inner core of your mattress. Always perform a few extra dry passes with that vacuum nozzle, just pressing down to ensure you're extracting every single drop of liquid humanly possible.
And of course, anytime you introduce liquid to a mattress, it brings us to the single most critical step of the whole shebang: drying. Getting that mattress completely bone dry as fast as possible is totally non-negotiable. If you don't, you risk mildew forming deep inside, and nobody wants that. But the good news is, you don't need any fancy equipment. Just point a standard box fan right at the bed, crank the ceiling fan up to high, or hey, if it's a beautiful breezy day, just open up all the windows. The goal is just to get strong, continuous airflow sweeping over the surface so any leftover moisture evaporates super fast. And here is a phenomenal tip from the experts: start this entire deep cleaning process first thing in the morning. That practically guarantees your mattress has the entire day to dry out before you have to actually sleep on it that night.
Now, what's really interesting about this maintenance schedule is that it gives us a fantastic long-term plan so you don't have to do this massive deep clean all the time. It breaks down like this. Deep clean in the morning so it's perfectly dry by night. Then, every single month, just repeat that quick, simple dry vacuuming step. You've got to keep that 1.5 pounds of skin cells at bay, right? And then, every 3 to 6 months, remember to rotate or flip your mattress so it wears out evenly. But honestly, the absolute strongest recommendation you can take away from this entire explainer is to just go out and invest in a high-quality mattress protector. It acts like a force field. It creates a physical barrier that locks out any future spills, sweat, and allergens, meaning you'll have to do this whole exhausting deep cleaning process a lot less frequently.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a simple, maybe slightly uncomfortable question to chew on. When was the last time you vacuumed your mattress? Think about it. If you honestly can't remember, or if the real answer is, gulp, never, well, it might just be time to go dig that upholstery attachment out of the closet. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into bedroom hygiene. I highly encourage you to put these expert steps to the test this very weekend. Trust me, you'll sleep so much better knowing what's underneath you is actually clean.